All right. Monday Night Football. Ravens versus the Bucks, and this one's got me kind of puzzled.
Yeah, 4-2 for both. Right.
Yeah.
But how they got there, totally different stories.
It's like, are the Bucks really contenders, or did they just get lucky? You know?
That's what we're going to figure out.
Exactly. So we're going deep with this Action Network article by Stuckey. He's a senior betting analyst there, and he's got some interesting takes, let's just say.
Always good to have those expert insights.
For sure. Okay, so betting odds. Ravens are favored by 4.5 points.
So they got to win by what? More than a field goal to cover?
Right. And the over-under, 50.5. Sounds like it could be a shootout.
Potentially, yeah. But you never know, right?
Oh, absolutely. Now, the money line has Ravens favored to win straight up. No surprise there.
Makes sense.
But here's the thing. A lot of people are betting Ravens to cover and for the game to go over. But our analyst, he's going a different way, which is why I'm so intrigued.
Interesting. Let's see what he sees that others might be missing, huh?
Okay, let's start with the Ravens offense.
All right, lay it on me.
They are a powerhouse, plain and simple, second in the NFL in success rate and adjusted EPA per play.
So they're moving the ball and scoring like crazy.
Exactly. And it all starts with Lamar Jackson. 10 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions so far.
He's been on fire this season.
Plus, you got Derrick Henry. He was the league's top rusher, at least when this article came out.
Tough to stop those two, no doubt.
No kidding. Yeah. But they do have a weak spot, potentially. Their pass defense, ranked 27th in dropback EPA.
So that's where teams might try to exploit them.
Yeah, but they've also faced some tough passing offenses. So maybe those numbers are a bit skewed.
Could be. Context is everything, right?
All right. And our analyst actually thinks it's more nuanced. He says they force a lot of tight window throws.
Meaning quarterbacks have to be really precise.
Yep. And they actually have a decent percentage of open receivers. So maybe some bad luck or missed opportunities are affecting that ranking.
Interesting point. So pass defense, maybe not as bad as it looks on paper.
Possibly not. Now, their run defense, completely different story. Number 1 in success rate allowed.
They shut down the run better than anyone.
26.6% success rate allowed for the Ravens. 33.3% for the Chargers, who are second. Big difference.
Yeah, they don't mess around when it comes to stopping the run.
Okay, so we've got a high-powered offense and a run defense that's basically a wall. Let's flip to the Buccaneers now.
All right, the other side of the coin.
They're 4-2 too, but our analyst thinks their record might be a little inflated. Weaker schedule, maybe.
Okay, so what makes them say that?
Well, they beat the Eagles, but Philly was missing some key players. Then they beat the Saints, but with Spencer Rattler at QB.
Not exactly their starting lineup, huh?
And the win against the Commanders, rookie quarterback, first ever start.
So, yeah, maybe not the toughest opponents.
Right. They did beat the Lions, good win, but even then they were outgained in yardage.
Huh. So it's like, did they really dominate or just capitalize on mistakes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe their record doesn't tell the whole story. Now, offensively, Baker Mayfield, he's actually been doing pretty well.
Yeah. Didn't expect that.
10th in adjusted EPA plus CPOE. That basically means he's making good decisions and executing throws, even under pressure.
So not just avoiding interceptions, but making those tough throws when he needs to.
Exactly. And he's getting some help from his running backs, too.
Oh, yeah. The running game, always important.
Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker. They could be key against that Ravens run defense.
Right, because if they can't run the ball, they're in trouble.
And they do have some receivers who could exploit the Ravens secondary if there are any weaknesses there.
Yeah, that could be a fun matchup to watch.
For sure. So offensively, Bucks might have more going for them than we initially thought, but defensively, it's a different story.
Not as strong.
A bit underwhelming, especially against the run.
Which, against the Ravens, is not good.
Not good at all. And the analysts think some of that is due to injuries. They've been missing some key guys on defense.
Makes sense. Injuries can really mess up a team's rhythm.
All right, so we've got a pretty good picture of both teams now. But the big question is, what's our expert's prediction?
Drum roll, please.
He says, Ravens to cover the spread in the first half, but under for total points. Interesting combo, right?
Yeah, that's a bit of a head scratcher.
It's like he's saying, low-scoring game overall, but Ravens jump out to an early lead.
What's his logic there?
Well, he points to Lamar Jackson's history. He dominates first halves, especially against NFC opponents.
Like, really dominates.
In his last 10 games against NFC teams, over 150 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns on average, just in the first half.
Wow. Impressive.
It's almost like NFC defenses just can't figure him out early on.
Maybe they get caught off guard by his speed and athleticism. By the time they adjust, it's too late.
Could be. So that's the first half. But why under on total points?
Well, he thinks the Bucks will struggle to run against that Ravens defense, which means Mayfield's going to have to throw more.
And while the Ravens' pass defense isn't their strength, it might be better than the numbers show.
Right. And don't forget, Bucks coach Todd Bowles, he loves to bring the pressure.
Oh yeah, his defense is known for being aggressive.
So that could disrupt Jackson's rhythm and lead to a lower scoring game.
It's like a coaching chess match. But there's one more factor, especially since this is in Tampa, the weather.
Yeah, outdoor game, can't forget about the elements.
So what's the forecast looking like for Monday night?
Well, looks like we're in for some classic Florida football weather, clear skies, low 70s, perfect.
No excuses then. Prime time for both offenses to, really let it fly.
Yeah, could be a good one for the fans.
But, before we go any further, I want to make sure everyone understands these stats we're throwing around.
Sure, happy to break it down.
Can you explain that adjusted EPA plus CPOE thing again for the folks at home and for me, honestly?
Okay, so basically it's all about how well a quarterback is making decisions and throwing the ball, even when things get tough.
Okay, yeah.
It looks at completion percentage, yards gained, and how difficult those throws were.
Yep.
So Baker Mayfield ranking high there means he's playing smart and making the most of his chances, even against a tough defense.
Makes sense. Thanks for clearing that up. All right, so quick recap. The Ravens, explosive offense with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, plus that crazy good run defense.
And the Buccaneers, well, their record might be a bit misleading, but Baker Mayfield is exceeding expectations. Plus, they've got those offensive weapons that could cause some problems for Baltimore.
Yeah, for sure. So the big question is, can Tampa Bay, pull off the upset?
Our analyst seems to think they'll keep it close, at least in the first half, but he's ultimately predicting a lower scoring game with the Ravens winning.
A real clash of styles, that's for sure. Ravens want to run the ball. Buckers will probably have to rely on the pass. So what's the key matchup to watch, in your opinion?
For me, it's all about that Buccaneers offensive line. Can they protect Baker Mayfield?
Right.
Because we know the Ravens love to bring the pressure, and if they can mess up Mayfield's timing, it's going to be a long night for Tampa Bay.
Especially if they can't run the ball and they're forced to pass.
Yeah.
Which seems likely against that Baltimore defense.
Exactly. And remember, even though the Ravens' pass defense isn't ranked that high overall, they do force a lot of those tight window throws,
Yeah.
So Mayfield's going to have to be super accurate, especially with those talented receivers Baltimore has.
See, this is what makes it interesting. Ravens might seem like the obvious choice, but there's a lot that could happen. Comes down to execution on the field.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about the intangibles, right? Home field advantage can be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Buckers are going to have their fans behind them, under the lights, Monday Night Football.
That atmosphere can definitely give a team a boost. So for you listening at home, pay attention to those matchups we talked about.
Yeah, watch that Bucks offensive line. See if they can hold up against the Ravens pass rush. And can Tampa Bay run the ball at all against that Baltimore defense?
And keep an eye on Lamar Jackson, especially in the first half. Can he keep up that dominance against NFC teams? Or will the Bucks have an answer for him?
Those are the things that'll probably decide this game. But, football's a game of surprises.
Anything can happen. That's why we love it.
Exactly. So when you're watching the Ravens and Buccaneers go at it on Monday night, remember what we talked about, but also be ready for the unexpected.
And have fun. All right, before we wrap up, we want to leave you with something to think about while you watch the game.
A question that really gets to the heart of this matchup.
So given everything we've learned, the strengths, the weaknesses, the analyst prediction, how much weight would you put on home field advantage for the Buccaneers in this game?
It's a tough one. On one hand, they've got the crowd, they know the field.
But on the other hand, the Ravens are a tough opponent. Their offense can quiet any crowd.
Yeah, it really comes down to, can the Bucks use that home field advantage to, throw the Ravens off their game and get the upset? Or will the Ravens just power through with their run game and their defense and basically take over?
It's going to be fun to watch, that's for sure. Two totally different styles, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. And who knows, a couple big plays, a coaching decision here or there, maybe even a little luck that could decide it all.
And that's what makes sports so great, right? You never really know what's going to happen. Upsets, predictions going wrong. Sometimes the team that just plays better that night, they win. Stats don't always tell the whole story.
Exactly. It's why we keep coming back for more. So when you're watching Monday night, don't just, passively watch it. Think about those matchups we talked about, the stats, what the coaches might do, how it all plays out on the field.
Yeah, really get into it. Ask yourself questions, argue with your friends, but most importantly, have fun with it. Because in the end, that's what sports are all about, right? The competition, those crazy moments, just experiencing it all.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Well, that's our deep dive into Ravens versus Buccaneers. Hope you enjoyed it.
Remember, a little knowledge goes a long way, especially when you're trying to understand a game as complex as football.
So go out there, armed with all this knowledge, and enjoy the game. We'll be back next week with another deep dive, exploring something new and exciting. Until then, happy watching.